I'm going to talk today about inferiority, inferiority complexes, self-esteem, self-worth. The reason I'm going to talk about this is because I've done loads of videos on various aspects of inferiority and self-esteem, and I haven't really tied all of the pieces together. So that's what I thought I'd do today. You know, if you want to have a look, I've done a video on games people play. I've done a video on how to stop bragging. I've done a video on boundaries. I've done a video on people pleasing. Right? There's a whole aspect of elements which come into a sense of inferiority. And basically, when you have a sense of inferiority, it's kind of stopping you, it's decapitating you at the knees. It stops you from taking the actions that you choose to do so because you're kind of scared of the judgment of others. So it's really important as a first base in order to set you off on this journey of self-realization. There has to be a way, a mechanism to hurdle this inferiority so that you'll start to free yourself to be whatever it is that you turn out to discover that you are. Yeah? If that doesn't sound too cryptic. Okay, so let's start off with asking what on earth this inferiority thing is. And in order to do this, I need to talk about a guy called Adler. Now, you may have come across Adler. Adler was around at the same time as Freud and Jung. He doesn't get as much press as Freud, unfortunately. So Freud was all about determinism. So people experience traumatic events in their life that come to lead them to a conclusion about themselves which drive their actions going forward, as if there is a certain inevitability to life. Adler said that's not how it works. So people will get a sense of their identity, they'll get a sense of what it is to be them, what they're good at, what they're bad at, based around the events of life, let's say. But the determining fact of the actions that they take today are their goals today. And so you need to look at their explicit and implicit goals in order to understand what's going on. And so then he went into this kind of discussion about inferiority. Okay. So to Adler, imagine when you're very, very young, okay? You're so young that you don't know what you are. And then as you start to grow, as you start to develop, you get a sense of the fact that you're different from other people. And then you start to get a sense of what you are, your identity, your differentiation from other people. And according to Adler, we have a sort of an innate wish to be good, let's say, to succeed, to be impressive, to be approved of by our parents, for example, and therefore find some reasons to be good, to be approved of. So he looks at an individual's kind of identity, their understanding of themselves, as beginning with a sort of a white board, a blank sheet of paper, upon which you have a set of aspirations as to what you think you would like to be like. And then what happens is you go through life from this very, very early age where experiences show you that you're not as good as your ideal, as how it should be. And so you come to conclude that you are inferior, right? So now, according to Adler, healthy inferiority, because if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I kind of judge all emotions as neutral. They're just messengers. So healthy inferiority is comparing yourself with your ideal state, with how you really would like to be if only. Yeah, if there were no impediments. Unhealthy inferiority is when you are comparing yourself with others. So basically, everybody is growing up with a certain set of innate skills and then a set of experiences that lead them to overweight or underweight certain skills to come to conclusions about what they're good or bad at. But when you're comparing yourself with someone else, you're looking at life as a sort of a competition, as if there is a pyramid, as a hierarchy. Yeah, there is a pecking order, and that certain people are better than other people. And then we see in the world certain people have got masses of money, or they've got a massive house, or they've got the ultimate relationship, or whatever it may be. And we start to judge ourselves almost, this fits very well with capitalism, as if everybody's running up the ladder and hurling other people off the sides so that they can achieve their sense of whatever it may be. The Instagram celebrity glory, for example, the YouTube 1 million hits. So if you're looking at life like that, well, it's a very precarious, scary life, okay? Because even when you achieve whatever it is that you achieve, you then have to defend it. It's a scary thing. You're constantly going to be in the limelight and potentially thrown off because you're abdicating this sense of what it is to be good or bad to this hierarchy, right? Which is a story in the first place. It's all a little bit fictitious. So what Adler is saying is that in actual fact life isn't like that, okay? So life, human beings are all equal. Different human beings have different skills, but that doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It's just that we're all members of the human race. So it's not a pyramid, it's not a hierarchy, it's not a ladder which you are desperately sclabbering your way up and throwing people off in order to reach the echelons of capitalism. Everybody is running the marathon of their life. Yeah, we're all on the same track. Let's say it's flat. But there'll be people ahead of you, there'll be people behind you. There might be people behind you that are running 3 times as fast as you, and so they are getting towards their sense of our ideal quicker than you, and there's a certain point where they're going to overtake you. There are people ahead of you, they've got different physiology, they've got different thoughts, they've got different experiences in life. They might be running faster than you, they might be running slower than you, and the whole thing is in flux. But the idea of the pecking order has gone away. So the idea of the pecking order leads you to a negative sense of inferiority because you are comparing yourself to other people. Take that one step further and you end up with an inferiority complex, which is where that sense of inferiority is actually stopping you from taking the actions that you wish to take. So you are using, in Adler's words, your sense of inferiority as an emotional abdication, as an emotional crutch. You are lying to yourself in order to give yourself an excuse to not take the actions that you wish. So in that, the goal has nothing to do with inferiority. The goal would be to keep yourself safe, to keep yourself away from the judgments of other people. Okay? So you build up the sense of inferiority as an emotional crutch, as a justification for not taking any actions. So let me relate this then to some of the other videos that I've done. So I did a video on games people play, for example. So games people play, this is transactional analysis, which was coined originally by Eric Berne, where people play implicit games with others or in groups against others in order to establish a sense of their personal superiority. Yeah? And everybody plays the game almost subliminally, yeah, so that no one names the game, but the idea of the game is to end up with a gotcha. It's a ha-ha, you proved your personal sense of superiority over someone else because of this pecking order. So what is going on is you're abdicating your sense of self-worth to something which is outside of you, okay? Which brings me on to boundaries. So boundaries are so important at the beginning of your journey towards self-actualization. So I did a video on boundaries. You can have a look at that. But the concept of boundaries, you can look at it from a whole different way of perceiving it. But as a simple one, There is what Stephen Covey, I think it was, called your sphere of influence, your sphere of personal power. Things inside your sphere of influence, you have a degree of agency over. You have an ability to influence, to act upon. Things that are outside of your sphere of influence, you have no control over. Okay. So you have certain tasks in life that are your tasks. There are other tasks in life that are someone else's tasks. And no matter how much you might like to be able to control them, they're outside of your sphere of influence. So what's going on with this idea of inferiority, if you are comparing yourself with someone else, is that you are handing over your sense of self-worth to somebody else's judgment of you, to somebody else's conclusions as to whether you're good or bad or indifferent, you know. So the thing is, to look at the idea from this perspective of boundaries, someone else is going to come to the conclusion that they come to. They may not even care to come to a conclusion at all because they're in their own world, but they will come to a conclusion which is based around their rules, policies and procedures, their experiences in life, their motivations, their fears, their needs. None of which is within your sense of control. There is a sort of a theoretical possibility, I guess, that if you lied to everybody and you told everybody that you were going to support them, that you agreed with their point of view, that they were right, well then maybe, I guess, you could get everybody to think you were nice, but even that wouldn't work, right? Because they would feel that sense of manipulation if effectively you were being nice in order to get their value judgment in return. So if we accept that it's impossible to please all of the people all of the time, even if you abdicated every sense of your own identity, it still wouldn't be possible. It would be like a populist politician trying to please the unruly crowd, every single person, and ending up in a state of chaos, because it just cannot be. So if we can agree, therefore, that different people are going to come to their own conclusions, some of which are going to like you, some of which are not, how can we use that to impact the sense of inferiority which is stopping you from taking the actions that you choose to take? And for me here now, I have a fantastic reframe, a fantastic way of looking at inferiority, okay? So we've already agreed that other people are going to think what they're going to think. So some of them are going to like you, some of them are not, on the assumption that you don't people please. So how about looking at, because nobody likes to be disliked, okay? We all would prefer if other people liked us. We are a social animal, you know, we tend to be the average of our peer group. We tend to like to feel respected and to feel significant. We don't choose to be disliked. But how about every time that someone dislikes you, disapproves of you, what that actually means from your meaning-making machine is that you are fulfilling your life. You are taking choices based around what feels right to you, based around the information that you have, and that some people are going to like that and some people are not. So when somebody dislikes you, it's not that you're bad, it's not that you're intrinsically anything in actual fact, because they're coming to their own conclusions based on their own rules, policies and procedures. But what it does mean is that you are taking action along your golden path. You are taking steps towards identifying what feels fantastic to you, what feels like you, and honoring that. And so in effect, if someone dislikes you, because that's a scary thing, right? What it means is that you are taking courage along your path. In actual fact, it takes courage to be happy. It takes courage to be you, and that occasionally that means some people are going to dislike you as a result. But that if they do, take that as evidence that you are honoring your personal principles. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you become self-centered, right? So there are many, many times where other people's feedback is useful, right? It's a fantastic messenger to say you are not paying attention to the rules of society or whatever it may be, right? So I'm not saying completely ignore what other people are saying. It's useful feedback, but don't automatically rush down the rabbit warren of this story of the pyramid, the pecking order of life, and that means that you are lower down. It doesn't. If you notice somebody trying to engage you in a power play, just step back. Right? It's a meaningless power play. It's based around someone else's insecurities where they're wanting to feel superior. You don't need to respond to that at all. The whole purpose of this is to get you to feel okay with being you. Once that kernel of validity to self is there, then you can take all the choices, you can make the actions that are meaningful to you. And so for me, that's your definition of freedom. Yeah? And from freedom comes all things. Authenticity, happiness, peace, self-worth, self-esteem. They all come from freedom. And so how do you free yourself? Well, you value your boundary. You value what is within your control, what is not. You respect that. You respect that other people are entitled to their opinions, be that good or bad, and that you're entitled to your opinions, be they good or bad, and that human beings make mistakes, and so not everything is a demonstration of your worth or not. It's just that you're a member of the human race. And so you free yourself to take the actions that you want to take. And the more that you free yourself, the more you establish that you are what you are and you start to own that, well, the more you discover your inner compass. And so that's why this is a really, really kind of 101 early stage way to start to unfurl what you really are, to start to lift the veil on the stories of life. And from that becomes this incredible sense of emancipation, of freedom, of gratitude, of thankfulness, of awe and amazement that you're all right, that it's okay being you, that it's okay for me to be me, and that we're all living this adventure. Intrinsically, people are trying to satisfy their goals. People are not intrinsically trying to sabotage themselves. It's just that you have to understand the goals that are going on. And if one of the goals is that I must not be disliked by other people, I must not be hurt in relationships with other people, well, it's like an overzealous bodyguard. The end result is that you choose, because all of these are within our conceptual control, at least our perceptual control. You are choosing to live the life that you tolerate. You know, and that's another video that I did. Are you living the life that you're prepared to tolerate? The way to go beyond that, the way to find your joy, your happiness, your flow, is by freeing yourself to be yourself, by understanding what is within your control. And one of the things which is within your control is your ability to mark your own scorecard. All right, thanks for watching. I hope that's interesting. I hope I've tied a few of the pieces of loose fraying strings together. There are many, many others. If it's good, have a look at the other videos. I also have podcasts now if you want to listen to things. And check them out and subscribe. Thank you very much for your attention. If this is thought-provoking, write me some comments down below. You know, even if you disagree. Let's play the game. All right, cheers. Bye.